Hello, my name is Chris Vitsaris and I'm the Professional Services Manager at Acculab. I'm going to give you a brief overview of SIGTRAN in this presentation and also to show you where it sits within our technology. So, in terms of a background into SIGTRAN, for those of you who don't know, traditional SS7 networks, they're not as scalable and they're very, very expensive to expand and to actually acquire. So the idea of having signaling for SS7 going over an IP network came about, hence the name SIGTRAN, which basically refers to SS7 signaling being carried out over an IP network. Furthermore into that, on IP networks, as you know, there's a TCP and a UDP type of communication, but these aren't associated with a very high and reliable form of messaging when it comes to SS7, which is what you want. So for that, hand in hand with SIGTRAN, a new protocol for transmission of signaling messages came about, and that's called SCTP, which is a Stream Control Transmission Protocol. So to show you where SIGTRAN sits in terms of the protocol stack, as all of you know, the stack for a normal communication model shown on the left. So you have the physical link, you've got the data link, the network link, and then going up you've got the transport, session, presentation, and then the application layer. The stack in the middle, that's the traditional SS7 protocol stack. So from the bottom you can see the MTP layers 1, 2, and 3, and then going up you have either the TCAP way of moving forward, that's more for messaging, so things like SMS and queries and so on. And to the right of that stack you have ISAP, BEC or TAP, which is generally associated to voice traffic. So comparing that to the SIGTRAN protocol stack, which is to the right, you can see that the main differences is basically on the transport layers, which is where the MTP layers in the traditional SS7 stacks are replaced with SCTP, which I've mentioned before, and M3UA and so on. So this is another way of looking at it. So you can see the two different stacks. The one on the left is the traditional SS7 protocol stack. So you've got the 3 MTP layers, and then moving up you've got the SCP and ISAP, TCAP, etc. On the right you can see that the MTP 1, 2, and 3 layers are replaced with an IP-based transport mechanism. So a word on the M3UA layer that for SIGTRAN that we provide. So because it sits on an IP network, you don't need any Acculab firmware to run this. But what you do need is you need to install Acculab's SS7 software package, and that's done via a tool that we refer to as ACT and another tool that's referred to as an AIT. So the AIT is an Acculab installation tool that will basically download all these SS7 software packages and tools and so on from our servers. Once you have all of that, one of the tools that it installs for you is a tool called the ACT, which is the Acculab configuration tool, which is one of the tools that you need as well for moving forward. So we look at SIGTRAN as a way of transmitting these messages over IP, but we measure them in messages per second. So to compare that with a traditional SS7 network, if you look at it as being 200 messages per second, in that example, that's equivalent to having 4 signaling links on a traditional SS7 network being used at 60% capacity, where each message is 100 bytes in length. Further to that, I have to add that IP communication doesn't suffer from bandwidth limitation such as the bandwidth limitation on E1 or T1 links. So for example, in E1 link you've got the 64 kilobit per second bandwidth limitation, whereas in the IP transport mechanism you don't. You're basically restricted on the bandwidth that your IP network provides you. So the amount of messages per second that your system can handle is largely dependent on your IP infrastructure for SIGTRAN. So the next point I want to mention is, for us, when you come and get SIGTRAN from us, we license SIGTRAN. Now, what we license is the amount of messages per second that you can transmit from your system. So that's licensed, and there are various restrictions on that. So you could get a license for, say, 600 messages per second. You could get a license for 1,200 messages per second. When you ask us for licenses, that basically just refers to how many messages per second the system can send. Because finally, we do not restrict the amount of messages per second that your system can receive. So what we do license is transmit messages. We do not license receive messages.
Good morning, everybody. This is Andrew Nicholson. I'm going to be running through the licensing side of Acculab software, in particular SIGTRAN licensing. So I'm going to run through some slides, and then I'm actually going to be creating a SIGTRAN license and doing an upgrade on the license on a live test account that I've set up. So just some background on Acculab software licensing. So we provide free access to our software through our website. You can download through the Acculab website the Acculab telephony software. Some of it is licensed on a per channel basis or on a message rate basis in the case of SIGTRAN. So ProsDS is our host media processing software. We license that on a per channel, and then we have SS7 and SIP products that we license in addition. You download the Acculab software and install it onto your target server with a couple of tools that we provide: the Acculab installation tool and Acculab configuration tool, also known as AIT and ACT. And you'll need software licenses to activate specific pieces of Acculab software, such as ProsDS, a dual redundant SIP product that we have, and SIGTRAN. This is a screenshot of the main Acculab website, the downloads page. I bring this up because this is the place where you would initially get hold of the Acculab software. On the left-hand side, you can see the box labeled Acculab installation tool. You choose Windows or Linux, whichever operating system your target server is running, and then install the AIT, and from there you can install the various components that you might need, such as SS7 components, ProsDS components, SIP components, etc. And in the center, there's also this is a way to get into the licensing portal that we run. When you buy software from Acculab that is licensed, we'll provide you a username password to get into this system, so that you can self-manage your allocated licenses. And this is the login page of the licensing system. It's also reachable through licensing.acculab.com. So just a couple of points on what the licensing system functionality is. So obviously it enables you to generate licenses for Acculab products and features, different kinds of licenses. So there might be deployment licenses, which are never-ending licenses. We also have developmental licenses, which can be a 6 or 12 month period. Then we also have evaluation licenses that we provide free of charge if you want to test something out. For example, we have a ProsDS 4-channel 45-day evaluation license available to you. You can also instantly generate emergency keys if, for example, your server falls over and it's a weekend and you're not able to get hold of the Acculab team. You can generate an emergency key on the spot and install that to keep your system running until you can get Acculab involved and we can bring the system up fully running again with a full-time license. We created this system so that both Acculab and customers can actually create license keys. What Acculab's main part in this is that we load credits onto your account when you actually buy licensed software from us. The actual key creation side of things is handed over to the customers to do so that you can self-manage your requirements. This is a flowchart of basically what happens when you purchase some licensed software from Acculab. So running from the top on a clockwise direction. So number one, you place an order with Acculab to purchase some software. It might be some 100 channels, say, of ProsDS, or it might be several instances of SIGTRAN licensing, various message rates. That comes into the Acculab order processing team. And what we then do is, if this is the first time you've ordered licensable software from Acculab, we'll create you a licensing portal account, allocate it to one or more of your team members, and then we'll load software credits to the system. So that's on the right hand side on the Acculab functions. What then happens is you'll be informed of the various login details and the information about the credits that you've received via email. You'll then be able to log in at your leisure to the licensing server to take those credits and convert them into the keys that you then take and load onto the target server. Just a couple of bullet points on license types, and this is quite relevant to SIGTRAN in particular. So we have two main types of license: a product license and a feature license. And in terms of SIGTRAN in particular, SIGTRAN is a feature license of SS7. So the SS7 is the product and the SIGTRAN is the feature. So when you want to run SIGTRAN on one of your machines, you actually have to install two license keys, one for the stack, SS7 stack, and one for the SIGTRAN to give you a certain message rate on that server. And just a small point about when we actually place these credits onto your system, when there is a product like SIGTRAN with a product and feature mode, when you order SIGTRAN from us, what we'll actually do is load your licensing account with SS7 stack licenses, which are the product licenses, and they're free of charge. And then we'll load it with SIGTRAN feature credits. And we generally use the format SO for sales order, then some numerical digits, and the P and the F if it's a product and feature. So they come in pairs. So you would need to pair SIGTRAN with SS7 to make the product work. How we license SIGTRAN is we have set message rates ranging from 100 messages per second up to 25,600 messages per second capability. When you want to purchase your SIGTRAN licenses, you decide which of these variants you require. Most of the customers tend to be in sort of central range, but we do have a few customers who wanted to push the boundaries and have used this product successfully up at 25,600 messages per second on one of their servers. So you have your initial message rate license, but there is a capability, and I'll show you that later, to increase the rate if you need to on your server. And you can go from one step to another. So if you wanted to go from 100 to 200, you could do that, for example, or up to 400. So we allow you to run those rates that are shown on the screen. And you could upgrade, excuse me, all the way from 100 to 25,000 if you needed to. If you need upgrades at any time, it's the product you would need to buy from Aculab would be an upgrade license, which are handled separately to the initial SIGTRAN licenses that we sell. A couple of examples of upgrades then. So the first one here, customer wants to go from 200 to 800 messages per second. In the Aculab terminology, that's a two-step upgrade. So you jump from 200 to 400, 400 to 800. So to do that, you would need license credits for 2 SIGTRAN upgrades. Second example, customer wants to go from 400 to 6400 messages a second. That's a 4-step process. So you would need 4 credits, 4 SIGTRAN upgrade credits to do that. So I'm now going to try and do a demonstration of firstly creating an SS7 and SIGTRAN license pair, and then an upgrade. So I'll just come out here. So what I've got here, I've installed Aculab software onto my laptop, and I've pulled up the ACT here. I've loaded ProsTS to it, and I've loaded the SS7 software components to my laptop. So what you choose now is the license manager. As you can see there on the SS7 side and SIGTRAN side, we don't have any licenses installed, so I need to choose SS7 first and then request a license key. So this then brings up this window, request an SS7 product license key. Okay, this has brought up my machine ID, which I'll keep this window open there, and then launch website. That opens the Aculab licensing portal. So I'm going to log into here. What I've got on here is a test account, which is a test customer account. So this is my login. I've preloaded this with various sales order credits, and I've also been creating a few licenses already. So this is my dashboard. It tells me what's happened recently. I'm going to go to sales orders first. What I'm going to do here is first create an SS7 product license and then a SIGTRAN license. So I need to find a sales order that has an SS7 stack available to me. So the first one here is, I've used that one up already. The second one here is got credits, so I'm going to choose this one. There it is. So there it shows you it's on this dummy customer account. It's stack available, and it's a deployment type, which is what I want. I want a full-time license. So remember that one. I'm going to choose SS7 So if I go to licenses, I want to add a license. That's the one to want to choose. SS7 quantity 1. And this is where you need to go back to the previous window, pull in the machine ID. So I'll go back to my ACT, cut and paste the machine ID into here, and customer user tag, you could label this. So this is going to be test server London, for example. You can put whatever text you like in there, such as a descriptor for yourself, and submit. There, it's created the license. Test SS7 2-1 has been created. What I now want to do is create the SIGTRAN piece. So I'll do the creation side. What I now need to do then is install that SS7 license onto my target server, which in this case is my laptop. So if I find this license in here, there it is down the bottom, test server London, as you can see. Here's the license key. You will be emailed all of this information as well. So what the next step then is to cut and paste the license key from the portal into the ACT. So I can cut and paste from here, or you could choose to do this from the email. So you select the license key, cut and paste, go back to ACT, just shut that window down. I want to install the license key and paste my key into there. Okay, so there you can see I've now got my SS7 product license, non-expiring single stack license there. Right, so I then need to do my next step, which is install the feature license. So I'm going to select feature, request license key, check that it's feature, yes, that's right. Comes up with my machine ID. I'm going to cut and paste that again. So each time you're installing onto your target server, you need to make sure you're using a fresh machine ID. It ties the software to the target server, and it's how we enable our licensed software to run. So I've copied that. I then want to go back to my portal. So I want to create a SIGTRAN license this time. So I want to add a license. I could choose ProsTS there, but I don't want to do that. I want to choose this one, which is a SIGTRAN license of 1600 messages a second. And here, this time you have to enter the message rate, which is 1600. Copy paste the machine ID. for London again. You can edit this text after you've created the license. That's possible, so it doesn't have to be 100% correct. It's just for you to keep track of what you're doing. Press submit. It's created that license. So I'm going to open that, copy paste that key, go back to ACT, close that down, install key, copy paste, key installed successfully. So there you go. So my target server, which in this case is now my laptop, has been installed with 1600 messages a second license, and it looks like in this case it's a 90-day license I've installed, and I could check that if I go back to here. Yes, this one was a 90 days license that I've created. That just shows you that they don't all have to be permanently installed licenses. So there you go. I have my software on my target machine, and I've loaded licenses to it. And I also said I was going to show you how to upgrade a SIGTRAN license. So now I've installed my 1600 messages a second license, and it's been running. I want to upgrade that to a higher rate. So how to do that is you need to install a new key onto your target system. So in this ACT window, I'll choose the SIGTRAN license, and I want to request a key for SIGTRAN feature, which brings up the fresh machine ID again. Now it is always advisable to use a fresh machine ID, even though you might think, well, I'm installing it on the same machine, therefore the machine ID will be the same. But there are parameters we utilize in the machine ID that are of a random nature, and they're not necessarily fixed to the hardware of the machine. So always use a fresh one. So I'm going to copy paste this machine ID ready. I've done that. Then go to the licensing portal. So what we want to do is perform an upgrade to the SIGTRAN license that we have. So I'll find that license. Here it is, 1600 messages per second. As you can see, next to that is an upgrade button. So I'm going to choose that. And upgrade source is this is to upgrade a SIGTRAN license. You need SIGTRAN upgrade step credits, which are purchased from Acculab and would come into your licensing customer account as a sales order. I've got one in here, which is a test sales order, and it's got 4 upgrade steps available in there. So I'm going to choose this one. In here, so I'm creating a new SIGTRAN license. I've now got to decide what rate I want. So I'm going to say I want this license to be 6400 messages a second, which, as you remember, is 2 steps of upgrade. So it's going to be using 2 of these 4 steps to upgrade this license. In my machine ID field, I'll paste my machine ID that I took from the ACT system. And in here, I'm going to edit this text. You don't have to, but this is just, I'm going to say, okay, upgraded. And submit. So let's have a look at that license. Here's the details of the license. Acculab have added text to this custom text field here. So you can now see that this license is 6400 messages a second. So what you now need to do is take this key string, copy paste that, go back to ACT and install the license, copy paste the new license key. It's okay, key installed successfully. There you can see that the license, the SIGTRAN licenses available on my target server have now changed. So what actually has happened is we've now got 2 SIGTRAN keys installed, and cumulatively they add up to 6,400 messages a second. Back to the presentation, just one slide left. So what I thought I'd then now show you, just to finish things up, is a couple of places where you might be able to get help on the system, or on creating licenses and things like that. So there's a help file is available on the licensing system portal. That's one thing. And then on the downloads page, there's a couple of links that are quite useful. If I show you those, that's probably the quickest way of doing things. So I'll go to the licensing portal. So if you can see here, on every screen, there's a help button. So if you pull that one up, it opens up the licensing system user guide, which is a PDF file. You can print this out and keep that. It tells you all about how to do the various things that you might want to do with the licensing system. So that's one. I'll now open the main Acculab website. If I go to the downloads page, which is a useful one. So there's a couple of things here. So if we've got a flowchart on licensing process, it shows the various steps that you need to take, which we've been running through today. So that's quite a useful thing to know. And if you're a little bit unclear about machine IDs, we've got a couple of pages here that explain things about machine IDs, and we've also created a list of a sort of step-by-step process of how to license Acculab software. So this explains all about machine IDs, and this link here will take you to a couple of extra pages, giving you a quick start guide to how to license Acculab software. In this case, it's ProsDS, which is slightly simpler in that you just need a single, it's just a product license. In this case, it doesn't have a feature to go with it. But it's the same concept for ProsDS and for SIGTRAN and for SIP. So that's Acculab licensing. Thank you very much.